Today we're taking a look at these NBA matches, which are happening on Wednesday, November 2nd, 2022, and giving you our match breakdowns, betting tips and predictions in general on these games. Welcome back to High Stakes, let's get straight into it. Also, don't forget to subscribe and push that notification bell to get notified as soon as we release these sport prediction videos, and if you would like more betting tips and predictions, then check out our Patreon in the link down below. Our new Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money. Multiple plans are available for each and every one of you. By becoming a member of the High Stakes Patreon, you will have access to our best team picks, total picks, parlay picks and much more. Stop wasting hours of your time searching for bad betting predictions that ends up costing you a lot of time and money. Join the High Stakes Patreon now and get the best betting picks. Chicago Bulls vs Charlotte Hornets. While the Hornets seem to be running out of steam a bit, this might be too many points to give a team that is shooting the ball well and has been protective of the basketball. Charlotte faces a Bulls team that played last night and might be without the services of their second leading scorers. Even if Lavin plays, I would expect him to be on a minutes restriction in the second game of a back-to-back. The Bulls only went 9 deep against the Nets, with all their starters going 30+ minutes. The Hornets will test the depth of the Bulls in this one and push the ball and try to outscore a Bulls team that has failed to score 110 in each of their last two. Look for a tight contest that will be decided in the final possession. Charlotte is 4-3 at TS thus far and 3-1 at TS on the road. Take the Hornets with the +6 points. The under is 5-2 in the Bulls' last 7 games playing on no days rest and 4-0 in the Hornets' last 4 versus a team with a losing straight-up record. The under is also 5-1 in Chicago's last 6 against a team with a losing straight-up record. Considering the lack of firepower for both parties, these trends are more likely to continue to play out on Wednesday night in Chicago. While both squads are top 10 in pace of play, the Bulls rank 20th in points per game, and the Hornets are playing well defensively, limiting opponents to 45.5% from the field and 30.1% from 3. Bet the total to go under on Wednesday. Milwaukee Bucks vs Detroit Pistons. The Pistons showed grit by pushing the Bucks to the final minute Monday night, but still inevitably fell short. This is the second time this season that the Pistons played the same team in back-to-back games in the same venue. After hanging tough against Atlanta, falling 116-113 at home on October 26 in the first meeting, they were promptly drubbed 136-112 2 days later by the same Hawks team on the same floor. The Pistons did almost everything as well as they could have on Monday night on the defensive end of the floor and still lost. You can't expect that kind of performance again, especially against a Milwaukee team that has the Greek Freak leading the way. Milwaukee rolls to the win here to improve to 7-0 on the season. Take the Milwaukee Bucks -10.5 points. Both sides are running middle of the pack in terms of pace. Pistons 100.81, 14th. Bucks 100.25, 17th, and both roughly land in the bottom third regarding points per game. Looking back again at the previous game, these two were 3 possessions behind that total. Detroit may have hit the over in 6 out of its 8 games played, but those numbers start to regress away from Little Caesars Arena. With the Bucks riding into this 1.500 against the total, paired with the notion they're able to gain ground and halting an extremely inexperienced Pistons lineup after already surviving its best punches, assume a similar total to their last time out. Take the under 224 points. Houston Rockets vs Clippers. Houston has been a disappointing team so far this season as well, although expectations were much lower for the Rockets than they were for the Clippers. They lost their first 3 games of the season before bouncing back with a 114-108 win against Utah last Monday. Houston lost its next 4 games, including Monday's setback against Los Angeles. Small forward Kenyon Martin Jr. led Houston with 23 points, while center Alperen Sengun pulled down 9 rebounds. Sengun has been the team's leading rebounder in 5 of the team's games this season. Point guard Kevin Porter is Houston's best player, averaging 20.3 points, 6.4 rebounds and 5.3 assists. There is nobody racing to the window to back either of these teams right now. Houston is one of the worst teams in the NBA, while Los Angeles is not able to get anything going without Leonard on the court. The Rockets should have picked up a victory when these teams met on Monday, blowing their lead in the final minutes. Los Angeles has failed to cover the spread in 6 consecutive games and is going to be without Leonard again on Wednesday. The Clippers have only covered 4 times in their last 12 games against Houston, so I am going to back the Rockets in this spot. While Game 1 could have been mistaken for a Sunday afternoon picket game, I expect better shooting performances from each team. The Clippers have been slow to get off the mat so far this year, but the Rockets can't stop a nosebleed. They are dead last in both opponent shooting percentage, 49.7%, and opponent 2-point percentage, 58.4%. Not only should points be easy to come by, but both of these teams are bottom 5 in turnovers per game. Turnovers lead to fast breaks, and fast breaks create points. Houston is yielding 116 points per game to their opponents and also putting up 90 shots to their credit. With a combination of high turnover rates, 17 for Law and 15.8 for Houston, Houston's pace of play, 11th, and the second chance points the 24th ranked Clippers allow, 16.3, this has all the makings of high-scoring affair. The books did us a favor dropping the line 2.5 points after the menagerie we witnessed in the first game. Take it. The over is the play. Houston's last 12 games are 9-3 to the over following a straight-up loss. Take the over 223 points. San Antonio Spurs vs Toronto Raptors. San Antonio opened the season with a 129-102 loss to Charlotte, which seemed to confirm off-season projections that the Spurs would be one of the worst teams in the NBA this season. They are still led by one of the best coaches in league history, but Popovich has the youngest roster in the NBA. However, the Spurs have bounced back from that loss with 5 wins in their last 6 games, going 3-1 on a 4-game road trip before notching wins over Chicago and Minnesota at home. They have been powered by small forward Keldon Johnson, who has led the team in scoring in 3 straight games. This is an exciting game to handicap, as both teams have been pleasant surprises and have been very profitable. Pascal Siakam has been key this season for the Raptors. Against the Hawks, he scored 31 points and hauled in 12 rebounds and 6 assists. Siakam is averaging 26.1 points per game this season. Scotty Barnes and Gary Trent Jr. both scored 21 points in the victory. Barnes finished 5-9 from behind the 3-point line. This was the most 3-pointers that Barnes had made in his career. However, I am giving the nod to Toronto on the road, as it is not dealing with quite as many injury issues and has the best player on the floor. Siakam has been one of the top players in the NBA through the first 2 weeks of the season, helping his team cover the spread in 4 of its last 5 games. San Antonio has relied on balance and hot shooting, but it will be more difficult to make that work against a Toronto defense that is top 5 in the league. The Spurs are 6-14 in their last 20 games against a team from the Eastern Conference. Toronto ranks 8th in the NBA for 3-point average. They are shooting 38.1% for 3. Their defense has been very solid in the first parts of the season, too. Toronto is giving up only 106.6 points, which rank 4th in the NBA. Toronto's opponents are averaging 40.6 rebounds per game, which is the 5th worst in the NBA. Toronto is beating teams on the boards thoroughly. With so many players being injured for the Spurs, their offense will struggle to float due to fatigue. Both teams are fears or famine from behind the 3-point line. They are both top 10 3-point percentage teams in the NBA right now. That can all change if they go cold from the field. The under is 6-1 in Raptors' last 7 Wednesday games. The under is 21-8 in Spurs' last 29 games following an against the spread win. Take the under 222 points on Wednesday night.